Hi, and welcome at the Education Lab at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam. We are joined today by Professor Jason Pridmore, Professor in Human-Centric AI in Society, also lead of the European-funded SEISMEC project, which is focusing also on human centricity in the age of AI and specifically in the industry. My name is Laurijssen. I'm the HR evangelist for SD Worx, also part of the SEISMEC project for a particular part. So we're going to have a talk, and maybe the first question to start off with, Jason, is where did the idea come from to apply for a grant, a European grant, on this particular topic?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And of course, I'm really happy to talk a bit about the SEISMEC project and where it came from. So SEISMEC was born out of this desire to think differently about the implementation of digital tools within workplaces.
Which led also to the basic framework, the CAPS framework. That was actually, well, the foundation of the project. These opposites or contradictories or paradoxical relationships that are what you just talked about, right?
Yeah. So CAPS became a way of thinking. Again, this both and principle. You can see the first one. Well, there's a bit of a parallel, right? We talk about it as collaboration and creativity. You could see some contrast between can you be really creative and also collaborate well? Does that give you individual freedom and possibilities? But the next one is a bit more of a clear contrast, at least the way we talk about it. So that's the A. We talk about autonomy and automation.
Yeah.
Does the automation of work actually infringe upon the autonomy that you might have as an employee? And then, of course, the opposite is, does your autonomy, can that be put into automated processes? Yeah. So you see that contrast there. You see that contrast in the next one, which we talk about, which is about privacy and productivity. Mm-hmm. Can you maintain a worker's privacy, like actually give that person the freedom to do the things that they want to and remain productive? And then finally, we talk about safety and satisfaction. Of course, we work in industrial sites where safety is a huge concern. Mm-hmm. And then that puts on a bit of monitoring, measuring. Do people know where they're going, how they're moving, what's happening, keeping them secure and safe, and also their data secure and safe. So you see in these CAPS factors this differentiation. Some are really contrasting and others aren't. Yeah. But the idea was, we believe that you can do both and. That you can give privacy and productivity, that actually if you allow your workers to do certain things on their own, they might be more productive.
The project also looks at AI again in industry. For a lot of our viewers, listeners, they would be thinking Copilot, ChatGPT, generative AI in general. Mm-hmm. We're looking at entirely different applications, aren't we?
So I would say yes and no, right? There are a number of pilots that are looking about bringing generative AI, again, the ChatGPT or a Gemini or any form of generative AI to aid more office place work. For instance, let me give you a monitoring sensor project that's happening in Slovenia with our partners and Actur. This is an industry. It is about the travel and tourism industry, which may not be the first place you think of. But of course, there's a number of hikes, a number of places that you can go and move around the countryside. But the issue is, do we have people to support the tourists, the people who are walking these in those places? And the answer is, well, actually, if we can have privacy-sensitive monitors that are checking to see how many people are heading in one direction or another, you can think about logistics differently.
What's the relevance for the HR people on this?
That's a challenge. I think what we're seeing now is that the workplace is changing, and I think from a human resources perspective, we need to understand what those changes are. Mm-hmm. If we think from an HR perspective, this needs to be about forward thinking about how do we create the mutual benefits within an environment that will be AI enabled. I think if we don't have HR as a partner, then I think the things that we would like to accomplish, this ideal type of doing both and within SEISMEC, is a bit pointless because it's not going to facilitate, frankly, what I would like to see in terms of piloting. Again, this is a project that is testing, piloting, experimenting. The next steps are always going to be implementation.
Where are we now in the project as you're concerned? How are we doing? And what are you looking forward to?
You have that 18-month learning curve. I feel like as coordinator, but also with all of the project partners, We've learned a lot about what we could do, and of course, when you plan something, the implementation, the actual process is different. We have had some small successes and a process development. The next part, the month 18 to 36, is kind of where the rubber meets the road, as we would say in English, or that this is where it all comes to happen. So if you ask me where I'm most excited about actually the planning, the things that we thought about, the initial tests actually becoming more of a reality.
Yeah. How are we actually preparing nowadays students for the new world of work?
Part of why I'm happy to be doing SEISMEC and do this work within my own university, particularly on AI strategy, on thinking about educational processes, is because you do get to think, okay, how am I preparing people for the things that we want to accomplish in SEISMEC? We're trying to equip them with the critical skills so that they have a mindset which is like, okay, what's missing and what can and can't happen with this particular tool? And then lastly, a bit more of a critical understanding of the social or ethical issues, because of course the implications of using AI in the job site, but in broader society, are huge.
I know Erasmus is also very much committed to applying your research to communities, societies, and so on. Are you also reaching out to communities, companies, to see where we can fit or bridge also that gap between the world of academia towards the world of work and shaping the future of work?
So for Erasmus University Rotterdam, of course, we are reaching out to all sorts of stakeholders. We talk a lot in this university about impact, and it's always a reminder that our biggest impact is the 36,000 plus students that leave, that are here and that go out, and actually we want them to embody a mentality. It's about connectedness, it's about world citizen, it's about openness. That we really want those students to take that on while they're really thinking along with the companies that they work for.
What is your most important take or advice for people in HR right now?
There's always this small contingent of people who are a bit fearful and concerned. And I think there's some experimentation that is actually one of the first things. I would try, I would experiment. So that's a first thing that thinking about is experimenting. But try, of course, we all say this, but we need to think long term. And the problem is, in the AI world, that long term is a couple of years down the road, because we don't know what emerging technologies are going to come in its place. I think in about 5 years, we'll be talking less and less about AI because it will already be embedded. It's sort of like emails or internet, and of course it exists. But the next emerging technology will use that to facilitate future processes. What does the employee of the future look like? And not think that they're all going to be replaced, but that AI is coming alongside in a good situation to actually enable those people to do better.
Thank you so much for your time and wisdom, Jason. Looking forward to collaborate more on SEISMEC, and hopefully we talk again next time, a few years up now to the project, and see what actually has happened. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.